Assembly and the Honourable Whip of the Opposition or any opposition representative. I wish to inform the House now that I have received a written agreement dated 11th December 2024, co-signed by the Honourable Chief Government Whip and the Honourable Whip of the Opposition, to the effect that parliamentary questions of which notice has been given for particular Tuesday's sitting be the object of drawing of lots. Copy of the said agreement is hereby being tabled. I agreed to the implementation of the said agreement pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 77, which reads as follows: the Speaker shall have power to regulate the conduct of business in the Assembly in all matters not provided for in these orders. And the notice of questions for today's sitting contains parliamentary questions set in the order determined by the drawing of lots conducted on Wednesday last. Moreover, honourable members, should have any further queries on the matter, you're welcome to see me privately in my office at any appropriate time. Thank you.
Papers have been laid. Questions?
Yes, Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've given notice of the following PNQ, whether in regard to the passage of Cyclone Chido over the islands of Agaliga, we will state the PNQ is addressed to the Honourable Minister of Local Government, whether he will state A, the nature and extent of damages caused to the infrastructure and households thereat, indicating the estimated cost thereof, B, the number of casualties, indicating the overall medical conditions of those affected, C, the number of families currently staying in the refugee center and the measures being envisaged to address the housing needs of those without shelters, D, the shortage of basic necessities on the island, if any, indicating the measures being proposed to prevent the depletion thereof, and E, if government proposes to declare a state of disaster thereat, indicating if relief will be sent and when. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I understand the Prime Minister will reply to this question.
Yes, Madam Speaker, with your permission, I shall reply to this private notice question, which was addressed to the Minister of Local Government, as I've been dealing with this myself. Before 2015, a warning system was in place whereby the inhabitants of Agaliga and Saint-Bando were regularly informed of the evolution of tropical depressions and cyclones likely to affect the islands. However, on the 13th of January 2023, new warning regulations, government notice was made by the then Vice Prime Minister, Minister Asnu, where only special communiques are issued to Saint-Bando and Agaliga in a case of a cyclone that is likely to affect the island. The meteorological services issued 11 communiques between the 9th and the 12th of December 2024 relating to intense tropical cyclone Chido. The Mauritius Meteorological Services first observed the formation of a tropical low pressure on Friday, the 6th of December at around 16:00 hours. It became a tropical disturbance on Saturday, the 7th of December. The depression intensified into a moderate storm and maintained its movement towards the west. The Meteorological Services issued a first special communique on Monday, the 9th of December, by which Chido was considered a potential threat to Agaliga. A second special communique was issued on Tuesday, the 10th, at 10 o'clock. Chido was intensified into a severe tropical storm, and a third special communique was issued at 11:30 hours on the same day. A heavy rain warning, a strong wind warning, and heavy swell warning was issued for Agaliga. On the 11th of December, at around 22:00 hours, intense cyclone Chido made direct landfall on Agaliga, with the eye actually passing over both the north and the southern islands. The highest got recorded until 20:00 hours was 115 kilometers per hour. In view of the intensity and strength of the cyclone, the equipment recording wind speed and direction was damaged. The meteorological services estimate that gusts could have exceeded 200 kilometers per hour. With regard to part A of the question, I'm informed of the following. Approximately 95% of buildings, including homes, the hospital, the police, and the National Coast Guard facilities in the North Island have been destroyed. Around 98% of the infrastructure are completely damaged in the south of the island. Many roofs have been torn off and entire structures have collapsed. Seawater has surged 30 meters inland on the South Island, flooding the surrounding areas. The cyclone has also severely disrupted food and water supplies. Many food items, including rice, have been contaminated with rainwater and therefore unfit for consumption. Several large water tanks, each holding 9,000 liters, were displaced by the high winds, leaving the island's water supply completely compromised. Communication on the island was disrupted, and it was only possible through satellite. Roads across the island were obstructed due to fallen trees and debris. The Indian tug, Afghan, was grounded near Grand Case. However, the crew was safely evacuated to the island and there was no oil spill. At this stage, the financial estimate of the damage is still being assessed. With regard to Part B of this PNQ, I'm informed by the acting resident manager of Agaliga that there has been no casualties as a result of the passage of the cyclone. However, a total of 19 Agaligans who were not casualties of the cyclone but needed medical treatment were referred by the medical practitioner in Agaliga for treatment on the mainland. They were also accompanied by the immediate relatives. The travel to Mauritius by the Indian cargo plane, which affected 2 trips, one on Sunday, the 15th of December, and 1 trip yesterday, the 16th of December. With regard to Part C of the question, I'm informed by the acting resident manager of the Outer Island Development Corporation that there are currently 31 Agaligans in the refugee center in the North Island. The necessary repair of the houses is being done by the SMF and a team from the Ministry of National Infrastructure. With regard to Part D of the question, on the 13th and 14th of December, the Doni left Mauritius carrying pulsers, water, flour, equipment, spectrum analyzer, satellite, modem, and tools, as well as medical supplies. Honorable Shakil Mohammed, Minister of Housing and Lands, went to Agaliga on board the Donia on Saturday, the 14th of December, and he reported back to us. A technician from MTEL, together with communications tools and equipment, were also conveyed to the island, and the latter was able to successfully restore the communication. The House may recall, Madam Speaker, that it was in the MAD Premiership that on the 19th of November 2008, that MTEL asked and was allowed to launch its service in Agaliga. Before that, we could only communicate through satellite. On the 15th of December 2024, the cargo plane P-81 effected a first sortie carrying 1,000 kilograms of food items donated by the Government of India. Honorable Amir Mia, Minister of Industry, SMEs and Cooperatives, and Honorable Mohammed Eshad Juman also proceeded to the island on the same plane to assess the situation and to reassure the inhabitants that all required support would be provided to them. On the 16th of December, a third sortie of the cargo plane was effected to deliver basic food items, medical essentials, and construction materials. It also transported 11 Special Mobile Force officers, 5 maintenance personnel from the Ministry of National Infrastructure, and 2 sanitary officers from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. With regard to Part E of the question, in view of the prompt actions of the government and support provided by the Government of Mauritius and the Government of India to provide relief to the Agaligans, the declaration of a state of disaster is not warranted. A technician from MTEL, together with communication tools and equipment, was also, as I said, conveyed to the island, and they have restored successfully communication. On the 14th of December, the vessel Barracuda was dispatched to deliver construction materials for necessary repairs of the houses and other infrastructure. The vessel is expected to reach the island today. On the 15th and 16th of December, 3 sorties of the Indian cargo plane were effected to deliver basic food items, medical essentials, construction materials, and also transported 11 special mobile force officers, as I said, and the national and the personnel, 5 maintenance personnel from the Ministry of National Infrastructure, and 2 sanitary officers. Madam Speaker, I wish to seize this opportunity to express my deep gratitude to the Government of India for having promptly extended their support by deploying a cargo plane for aerial reconnaissance and also to deliver vital supplies to the island. Madam Speaker, I also want to say we are very sorry to what happened to our sister in sister island in Comoros, and there the damage has been terrible. Hundreds of deaths apparently, from what I've seen on the television. Fortunately, no one has died, no fatalities in this in Agaliga. But Madam Speaker, I wish to express our solidarity with the Comoros Island for the tragedy that they're living. I end by saying that, Madam Speaker, I will personally monitor the situation in this context, and a coordination committee comprising of representatives of government authorities is being set up at my office in order to ensure that the timely implementation of all the actions we have decided for the reconstruction of Agaliga.
Thank you. Yes, Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd put my question to the Honourable Minister for Local Government because National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management falls under his purview. But I'm happy to note that the Prime Minister replied to my PNQ because it is a situation of utmost importance. Madam Speaker, our thoughts are with our sisters and brothers of Agaliga, but not only with them, the Prime Minister mentioned that, but also with the people of Mayotte and Mozambique. And we know how painful the aftermath of such a devastating cyclone can be, Madam Speaker. Now, may I ask, because he mentioned that in his reply at the very beginning, may I ask the Honourable Prime Minister, in view of the extreme vulnerability of Agaliga Islands to cyclone and the intensity now of cyclones with regard to climate change, and particularly in the aftermath of Cyclone Chido, will the Met Services consider reviewing its protocol with regard to issuing cyclone bulletin in the region of Agaliga Islands?
I thank the Leader of the Opposition for this. I mentioned that we are looking at the whole system. Before there was no regulations, and then regulations were issued, but we were giving warnings. But regulations were issued in 2023, and now we are relooking at the whole thing. One of the problems is communication, of course, but this is we're also looking at that.
May I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether necessary directions and authorizations have been issued to competent authorities to ensure, first, the release of available resources timely, including food items, non-food items and equipment, and the release of human resources to provide emergency services, as it now prior and after the cyclone?
Yes, Madam Speaker, I did say in my answer that these are being provided.
Madam Speaker, can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister to confirm whether his Minister for Local Government chaired the National Crisis Committee in relation to Cyclone Chido?
Madam Speaker, in fact, the Disaster Management Committee was always under the PMO when I was Prime Minister. I don't know why he was switched. We're switching it back to, he will be part of the committee.
We all know that under such situation, the National Emergency Operation Command is of vital importance, Honorable Prime Minister. Can I know from you whether New York was activated prior and during the passage of Cyclone Chido, and to which level it was activated?
I'm not sure I quite followed the question,
Yes.
Madam Speaker.
I also have a bit of difficulty.
Yes. Madam Speaker, we have the National Emergency Operation Command.
Okay, National Emergency Operation Command.
Yes.
Yes.
My question is whether that body was activated prior and during the passage of Cyclone Chido.
Okay.
I can say,
To which level?
Madam Speaker, thank you. I can say that the new Commissioner of Police was practically awake all night. He was in command, of course, of this, of all this, and he was telephoning us at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, telling us what was happening. So the command structure was there. It was probably not functioning as you used to in the previous 10 years, but it was there.
So, Madam Speaker, I understand that New York was not activated at all during the passage of Cyclone Chido over the islands of Agaliga.
Yeah, well, Prime Minister explained that
Yeah.
not the way that it used to be, if I understand well.
Now, with regard to reconstruction, can the Honourable Prime Minister inform the House when the announced reconstruction works to the destroyed and damaged amenities and housing will be completed?
First of all, let me correct a misunderstanding. I didn't say it wasn't activated. I said everything was under the command of the new Commissioner of Police, who was coordinating all that had to be coordinated. Secondly, I can't give an answer for that. All I can say is that we actually built houses, concrete houses, solid houses for Agaligans during my term of office.
During the passage of Cyclone Chido over Agaliga, can I know from the Honourable Prime Minister whether he had regular contact with the General Manager based there and also with the Agaliga Island Council, the chairperson of Agaliga Island Council?
I was dealing, Madam Speaker, with the Commissioner of Police. As I said earlier on, there was no communication with Agaliga. Everything had broken down, and only through satellite communications, and that also we had trouble with. But I was dealing with the Commissioner of Police.
Can I know from the Honourable Prime Minister whether communication has been restored with the southern island of Agaliga? Because as at yesterday, there was no communication with the southern part of Agaliga.
I'm told that communication has been restored. In fact, the inhabitants of Thousand Island decided not to move. They were asked to move out of the area because of the height of the sea level that might increase, but they didn't move. But the communication was broken down in both parts of the island. I am told that it is being restored. So probably it is restored by the time we're speaking.
I understand from the Honourable Prime Minister that elected members from constituency number 3 proceeded to Agaliga after the passage of the cyclone. Was there a delegation? If yes, can I know the composition of the delegation that went to Agaliga?
I know there were the 3 members requested to be allowed to see because it's part of their constituency, which they did. There were also we had a lot of things to carry to Agaliga, as you must realize. But I also know the Catholic Church had asked for a representative to be allowed to go, and he was allowed to go.
We understand from the Honourable Prime Minister that Donier was sent to Agaliga. I believe the Honourable Prime Minister is aware that ATR 72 can land in Agaliga. Will ATR 72 be sent to Agaliga so that we can forward people there to help the people in Agaliga?
I can't say technically whether this is actually possible or not, but certainly if it is, there's no problem.
You could look into it.
Yes.
I believe it can, Honourable Prime Minister, because the former Prime Minister went to Agaliga in an ATR 72. May I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether he will consider going on a special mission to Agaliga himself to take stock of the situation and bring his support to the Agalians in this moment of distress.
I will certainly. I did also go to Agaliga, by the way. You mentioned the former Prime Minister. He also went to Agaliga. But I would certainly, first of all, what we need to do is to restore all this damage that has been done to do the reconstruction work, and then perhaps.
Yes.
May I ask also the Honorable Prime Minister to consider increasing air traffic to Agaliga in the meantime to ensure that Agalians can obtain the help and support required to overcome such an event?
As I explained, Madam Speaker, the Dhoni has been going. The Indian cargo plane also, and I thank the government of India for this. They made, I think, a couple of trips, and also the Barracuda is going there.
Yes.
The Prime
It's
Minister.
your time.
Yes, I know.
It's your time. You can carry on.
Yes. The Prime Minister stated that he sought help from friendly countries, and he mentioned India, and we are all very grateful to India for helping us in this very difficult situation. Can I know whether the same help was sought from other countries, also friendly countries?
We spoke to Nationale. We keep in touch with them on meteorological services, but India was already there and was helping.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So now, honourable members, the table has been advised that PQ 1B59 and PQ 1B60 will be replied by Dr. the Honourable Prime Minister, time permitting. And PQ 1B53 has been withdrawn. I will now therefore call the Honourable Third Member for Quartier Militaire and Moka, Mr. Venkatasamy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B40.
Madam Speaker, it has always been the practice before 2015 for the police to be represented either by the Attorney General's office in any court proceeding or the office of the DPP to undertake criminal proceedings before any court of law. That was always the case before 2015. It is only, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police, that from August 2021 to November 2024, the former Commissioner of Police departed from usual practice and decided he will retain the services of 5 counsels and 1 attorney from a private practice in 8 cases for an amount totaling 14,288,825 rupees and 30 cents. And the names are as follows, Madam Speaker. Mr. Amar Ozia, counsel, received 34,500 rupees, including of VAT. Mr. Desiree Bassett, senior counsel, 2,991,437 rupees and 50 cents, including of VAT. Mr. Rasley Risol, counsel, 86,250,000 rupees, again including of VAT. Mr. Ravi Raj Yerigadu, counsel, 603,750 rupees, inclusive of VAT. Mrs. Shamila Sona Ori, attorney, 4,330,000, including of VAT. And 1 King's Counsel from the United Kingdom, 5,531,447 rupees and 50 cents, plus an amount of 721,440 rupees and 25 for his accommodation and air tickets. I should also say, Mr. Speaker, sir, and Madam Speaker, that previously, if ever, there was a counsel from the UK, especially for cases which go to the Privy Council afterwards, he was put up in the government bungalows at no cost. Why 721,000 rupees was spent here? I'm a bit puzzled, to say the least. Madam Speaker, sir, our country has a well-established democratic system with clear separation of powers, between the executive, the judiciary, and the legislative. Institutions like the Attorney General's Office and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions operate in full independence and have always been providing legal and professional duties. The practice of handling the services of private lawyers and bypassing the Attorney General's Office and the Office of the DPP by the former Commissioner of Police under the previous government, as I said, cost the taxpayer 14,288,825 rupees and 30 cents. And this has been clearly done to undermine the professional integrity of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and relevant institutions. And this should be severely condemned. Madam Speaker, it is clear the previous government had a problem with the office with an independent Director of Public Prosecutions. Who can forget this unbelievable attempt trying to arrest the former DPP? He had to run away from his home. His wife had to pull the door because they were trying to force their way in to arrest him. And he had to go through a back door, go to a judge in chambers to get protection. This is what happened under the government of the MSM. This was unprecedented. It has never happened in any Commonwealth countries. Never happened. But you know, with the MSM, everything is possible. This is why